Thank you. Go ahead.
The meeting of the Diman Vocational High School. We have a public hearing meeting. Need a roll call?
Mr. Jennings,
Here.
Mr. Beegan,
Here.
Mr. DeVito,
Here.
Attorney Flanagan, Mr. Manuel's,
Here.
Miss Menard.
Here. All right, we have a call. Okay, Mr. Bishop, you want to start with the public?
Just a brief overview of what the FY26 budget covers. Make it to the slide. It's actually beneath the black thing. Right to your left, all the way up to the blue box. Slideshow. There you go. There we go.
Thank you.
Just return. Enter will work. Enter. Enter. There we go. All right. So the foundation of our budget is basically net school spending. So there are two components of our net school spending. That's local contribution and Chapter 70. So our local contribution from sending districts is going to be $9,803,875, which is an increase of $397,967. This might be a little different from what we sent out earlier, but there was an adjustment for Swansea by $12,330. So it dropped the minimum contribution for Swansea, but they increased Chapter 70, so it's a wash on the number. So our increase overall for next year is anticipated to be 1.186403, which is roughly 3.6% increase in funding from the Commonwealth and the Senate increase. Next. Just hit enter. Hit enter again. What I've done is, this is our breakdown by sending communities. So we had a total of 1 student increase in October 1. Fall River was down by 3, Somerset was up by 6, Swansea was up by 8, Westport's down by 10. That reflects in the contribution. For Fall River's 3 children, it's a reduction by $111,837. For Westport, they have 10, and it comes out to $10,111. Swansea's increase is $317, and Somerset's is $202. So that's where we stand for our local contribution that will make up that $397,967. Next. So this is kind of just a small grid of our history. So in 22, we had 1498. We reported 1498. And that gave us a net school spending of $28 million. In 23, we had 1467. It was increased by about $1 million, about $800,000 to 29.2. In 24, we had 1450, which was a reduction of 17, which I believe it was through the Student Opportunity Act that we increased our net school spending and our funding through the state up to 1.621. So the Student Opportunity Act was always supposed to hold you harmless and give a plan of how we're going to continue our success. That funding was supplemental funding, and it continued for 5 years. Well, the formula was supposed to continue for 5 years. So in 25, we had an increase of 29 students, which is approximately the same amount as our funding in the year prior, 1.6. And then this past October, 25 is our funding for 26. We have one additional child, and our funding is 1.186403 in chapter 7 for net school spending. Chapter 70 is only 776,000 plus our it's not 410, it's 397 actually, because I didn't change that number because of the change in Swansea. So we're roughly, our budget's gonna, revenue for our budget next year will increase by 1.186. That's what we have to work with. Next. So it's interesting though, because when I a little aside, because when you see the negatives, and then we went up by 1.6, and then we see a positive of 29, and we comparable amount of funding, and then we go up by 1, and we actually lose funding. So we're gaining. Everyone always says, money follows the child. It does, but it's based on the funding formula, which is not perfect. Our transportation. Can you hit enter again, please? So our transportation for next year, we just opened our new transportation bids. We'll be voting on this evening. We run 17 buses throughout the district, and we also carry 2 vans for the kindergarten students for the most primarily. So those total $1.3 million. We take out the Chapter 71 aid, which is our reimbursement from what we expended last year, which was based on 92% of our expenditures. So we received $1 million, or we will be receiving $1 million. This year it was only $800,000. So it's a substantial increase, and it's all based on what they have available for free cash in the Commonwealth, and how much it used to almost be 75%, and then it moved up to 82, and if they flush the fund, they'll overfund it, and they actually contribute additional pocket money, but we don't get the pocket money. But so our cost for transportation next year, or the assessed cost for next year, is only $306,000 for 17 buses. That's what we're going to assess the towns in the city. And that's roughly the breakdown based on the student population ratios. Next. So this is what's coming down in the future for the communities. We originally borrowed $25 million for the first year of the project. We rebought that again. So now we're doing a pay down on it. So from the $25 million, our pay down for the first year is $925,000. We borrowed another $55 million this past September, and the interest that will be due next year is 1.7. It's actually 200. It's actually 2,200,000. But when we sold the bonds, we received a $449,000 premium. So the premium offsets the cost on the bond interest. So we have to put it in a specialty account, and then when the assessments are due, we take it out, net it out. So the next borrowing that we're going to be doing is next September, and that's for 100 million. So basically, when you look at the scenario, we borrow 25 million. A year later, we borrow 55 to pay the 25 plus interest, and then we borrow 55, and then this September we'll borrow 100 million and pay the 55 and utilize the 45 million for construction costs. To date, we've been in the area of about 79 to 78% reimbursement costs, which is a project grant. 2 months ago, we received a little lower than that, probably in the 60s, 68, to the ineligible costs. So we were ineligible on steel for about $1.8 million because we reached our maximum amount of allowable costs for the year. So going forward, any additional steel that we're putting in, we're paying. But then you shift to other trades. So as you go through, you'll be doing sheetrocking, forward, then we'll circle all the way back around and then do landscaping. So the assessed costs to the cities and towns are listed below. It's $5.9 million. The sale on, or the borrowing of that $100 million, the expected interest in the first year, which will be due June 2026, is that $3.2 million. The anticipated, well, I'm not gonna guess at it, but the anticipated revenue for the premium should, hopefully will be in about 2 million. So that will be offset just like the one before it, and the assessment to the towns will be adjusted in the third or fourth quarter. Once we do the sale in September, you'll know what the premium's gonna be. We're using 4.5% on the interest, and we're hoping that, I'm hoping, because Bristol Plymouth just sold theirs, they did a 120 million, and they realized 170 million? No, they borrowed 120 million, they realized a $1.7 million premium, and their rate was 3.98. So, depending on how it looks in September and how things are going, as far as, I wouldn't want to sell today, or tomorrow, but maybe in September, things might stabilize a little bit and we'll be okay. Next slide, please. This is just, it's a lot of information. We'll have it posted on the web. But as you break it down, these are the 1,000s and 2,000s. 1,000s are the administrative costs. There's nothing substantial in the 1,000s as far as jump ups. In the 2,000s, that's all the instructional costs. So you'll have contractual costs for classroom, for teachers. That is based, the difference is really based on a projection of what last year's salaries might have been and what next year's salaries might be also. So they are soft numbers. And then I put down the subs cost. That's what we're spending this year, and that's what we're going to have to spend next year. There is some reductions in, I put for instructional stipends, which is primarily mentoring, because we could also offset with Title I. PD, if it's, historically, we're about 42,000 in there, so it's a little bit there. Instructional equipment, there's a reduction in instructional equipment. There is no instructional equipment in any of the shops next year. I had conversations with the department heads. We'll probably be pre-buying if we have a few items with some significant costs. And going forward, we're pretty well. I think I have to say, with instructional equipment, between the skills capital grants that we've managed to refresh the hardware of our shops. By using that skills capital grant, we were able to shift our regular appropriation to other shops to redo their shops also. So for instance, advanced manufacturing, we redid a lot of advanced manufacturing. Any of the costs associated with advanced manufacturing, we may have been able to take advantage of in carpentry because they weren't part of skills capital. Dental was skills capital, that was about $900,000. And again, we talked about it a couple of times. There's $1 million set up for the new building for auto collision. There's $1 million inside metal fab, which we almost exhausted. And there's $1 million that's incumbent for culinary. So with all those expenditures on other shops, we've been able to plan on buying this year some beds for health assisting and try and use Perkins for next year for health assisting also. So it's kind of a shell game with instructional equipment, but eventually those items will shift from purchasing instructional equipment to maintenance and repairs, well, contracts for service providers. So that will go in probably for the 27 contract.
Mr. Kitchen?
Yep.
Give metal fabrication, for an example. Are we close to exhausting that account because prices are changing or misbudgeting?
Advanced manufacturing, we had a skills capital grant of 2.5 million, so we split it between dental and advanced manufacturing. Dental, requirement in dental was x-ray machines, some molding machines. I'm not sure if this is it. 3D printing. The dental chairs we did not buy because they're specific to the building and it was too early on. Advanced manufacturing has a lot of machinery and we just took advantage of having that cash and we started replacing as much as we possibly could. But as far as instructional materials or supplies, it did go up slightly. Let's see if I can see it. I think it's 54,000, 51,000 there. So for general supplies. But what we've been doing in the past, last couple of years, as long as I've been here, we've been pre-purchasing a little bit to make sure we have stock, so when all the shops have freshman exploratory, we have stock on hand, and we just get going on the gate right away.
And it's being housed locally? or-
Well, it's within the shop, it's enough that they can handle. We've had multiple conversations about, trying to do inventory control. It's just because you don't want to buy too much to have to get stock when you move next door, but if we do have it and it's ready to receive it, we'll probably buy and have it there.
Thank you.
As we, again, 3,000s are student accounts. The large is the 120. That's says the parent liaison services. It's actually, that's Mr. Zajac and the new position for a freshman dean or freshman that would try to negotiate. And athletics is up primarily due to transportation, and I don't think we have a lot of equipment costs in there. The trainers plus is in there, that's the same. But that's really all I can think of. Other activities is the realignment of some of the stipends that we did. We did a 1-by-1 on it. Custodial services are the 4,000. So 4,000s are all facilities. We're trying to level fund everything we can in there. I think we're good with electric right now, and that's utility services. I think we're going to have a little bit of a reserve this year, so I didn't want to increase it too much. But as everyone knows, the distribution charges are worse than the utility costs. From there, technology salaries, we had some personnel changes in there. We had a student co-op person in this year's that we didn't fill. So, and then the 5,000 is your employee contributions and benefits. The Fall River Retirement Board is up by $69,000. The insurance for active employees is budgeted as an increase of $857,000. I don't want to speak to it too specifically, but there are some large claims that we've been associated with in the last couple of years. We have a small pool, so therefore our rates are anticipated to go up. Retirees, it's pretty much the same. I mean, they're actually doing well. I don't know if we'll need that entire amount, but I'd rather have it there than not have it. If the rates go up and they put them in the whole pool, whether they're retirees or whether they're active employees, they need to have a comfort level there. And then school choice is our only tuition account, and that's just for kids who live in the districts that choose to go out somewhere else. That's a reduction. That's set by the Department of Revenue. So that's a breakdown of what it looks like in a pie chart. So the coral is our instructional costs, which is approximately, I want to say 68%. Our next one, the gray area, is student services. Orange or yellow is operations or facilities. The next one, the darker blue, is our benefits, and then the lighter blue, the $2 million, is our operation costs. So ideally, ideally, the way we are right now, because we're not putting a lot of money into this facility, I guess it's it's about 8%, so it's an acceptable level to have. When you go into a new structure, all your service contracts are going to roll out on all of your control systems and everything. So that I can see growing, and that's the only one that I can see growing. I hope
The
the benefits don't.
all your utility costs, that's what some of it's running into now, with a huge jump in electric and
My experience in other districts, like we built elementary schools, and they're not large ones, they're like 92,000 square feet. But yeah, that's a big elementary. Both of them in the first year, the electric bill went up like 60%.
So we're going from 230,000 square feet to 400,000 square feet.
Yeah. And the cost really isn't, I mean, it's obviously the unit rate, I mean, you can't control that, but everything runs. So you may have rooftop units on this building, you may have compressors in this building that do not run. When you get next door, every rooftop unit for an exhaust fan will be running 24 hours, every bathroom fan will be running. And then you'll always have the request to use the facility in after hours. So, it's kind of a crapshoot, I'd say, but, everything's running, everything works. The chip, if you really want to go to a good energy management system, it's really, personal habits. So like when people leave their rooms, they're gonna just, they'll always have motions on the classrooms anyway. And the light system should work the same way. So that when you leave, you shut the lights off, you shut the computer off, make sure your smart board's off. We had gone, in other districts, we had gone to the point of really just taking all the food out of the coolers. So if you're in 251 and you get a half full cooler, and you've got a cooler for the student ones, we would empty it into one cooler, shut the other one off, and then shut off all the bottle filling stations inside the building too, because they had chillers in them. And you just keep, you think like the smallest things, and you'll actually save quite a bit of money. And again, if you can track when they do their seasonal price changes, like August, you shut the building down, so when they do the read, you're down. The demand's not on the system.
I just want to know where we're gonna find that money next year, because every shop is gonna be air conditioning, heating. I mean, they.
It's displaced ventilation, but it's
But
still gonna be a
We're
rooftop
we're
unit.
gonna be, so that's what.
Yep. I think that's the only, I mentioned it to someone today, and I didn't really think about it either, is the insurance cost for the building. We pay a certain amount here now. We pay roughly $400,000 for insurance on this facility. That facility will be $243 million with, give or take, $20 million worth of new equipment. So, is that replacement value for the equipment? It's definitely not gonna be replacement value for the building.
No.
Because it'll be fire suppressed, so it doesn't matter. I shouldn't say it doesn't matter. It'll be sectioned, so if it's an issue, then it should hopefully put it out. Here, you don't have fire suppression.
And because of the high-tech systems that we're gonna have, all the training that these guys, we're gonna have service contracts for, broad maintenance department, to have people on hand, we're gonna have to pay a guy on hand just to work on our new systems. So we'll put out a lot of new service contracts, and everything else. I'm just saying, that keep in mind that we will need extra money in the 26, 27.
Well, that's why I
budget.
mentioned that facility cost is the only one that I can really see.
Yeah.
Trying to expand. Other than contractual obligations, I don't want to negate that. So fundamentally, our summary is that, our budget is made up of 3 areas. It's our foundation budget, which is going to be $33,636,942. Our transportation budget or expense assessed to the town is only going to be $306,475. And our debt will be $5,908,263. And that debt will be adjusted once we do the sale in September by the premium. So hopefully, it's only about 3.2 million in the city and adjusted to the other towns, but the biggest one is obviously the city, because they're at 78%. 76.9. I think that's it.
Any discussion from the public on the budget? Moving on to school choice.
Close the public hearing for this one. Yeah, relative to the budget.
School choice.
Wait, what about me?
Well, not yet.
School choice?
School choice.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, as much as we have more applications than we have seats, I do recommend that Diamond does not become a school choice school. And that the recommendation is to not to accept or not to enter into, not be a choice, excuse me, for the 25-26 school year because of its inability to accept all students wanting to enroll in the 4 district units. It's a recommendation.
Any comment, discussion from the public on the school choice?
Close the hearing on
Okay.
school choice.
Close the hearing on school choice. We're moving on to the regular school committee meeting. Have a roll call.
Mr. Jennings,
Here.
Mr. Egan, Mr. DiBiase.
Here.
Attorney Flanagan,
Here.
Mr. Manuel's,
Here.
Ms. Menard.
In accordance to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20 F, any member of the public who wishes to make an audio or video recording of this public meeting, a member of the public who wishes to record the meeting must first notify the chair and must comply with the reasonable requirements regarding audio or video equipment established by the chair as not in favor. Anybody recording?
Mr. Manos.
All right, pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion to approve February 13th. Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Student report?
My name is Eastwood Camper. I'm a Fall River student and engineer in the electronics engineering shop. When I graduate, I intend to continue pursuing electronics in college. Okay, current events. Staff versus seniors basketball game last Thursday was a fun night for all. Over 15 staff faced off versus the seniors and the boys and girls basketball team. DECA and Diversity Club offered concessions and raffles for prizes such as prom tickets. The cheer team performed while the dance team helped with the raffles. This year, the students defeated the staff 75 to 73. DECA and Skills USA are involved in competitions, and our students will continue to shine at these events. The sports teams finished up their seasons with hockey losing to a powerful Triton team in the MIA playoffs. Track finished as the state divisional winner in the high jump. Senior Grace Flattery took first place, jumping at an impressive 5'4". Sophomore Maxwell DeRogers placed second, leaping 6'2". Both are school records. Track will be taking some athletes to nationals. The basketball teams finished the season with a few wins over Mayflower League opponents. Cheer has their competition Sunday, which I think was actually last Sunday, so that already happened. The football team is hosting the dodgeball tournament next week, an event that students will look forward to every year. A student suggestion and complaint form has been added to the Diamond website for students to use their voice and help Diamond grow. And a committee of teachers has been formed to decide the criteria for upcoming Student of the Month nominations, which will continue to recognize hardworking students and encourage kindness. Ongoing issues. My goal since I was a freshman has been to establish a culture at Diamond where participation isn't seen as lame, kids actually cheer at the sports games, and kids have something to look forward to every day. The question comes down to, how do we do that? And as a student, I think that building a strong school spirit means giving students opportunities to socialize and de-stress. The school year can become monotonous and at times absolutely draining, and as we know, the last few weeks at Diamond have been tense. So I'm working with students and teachers to come up with ideas to create a high school experience that will be cherished. Some of these ideas for this year and next year are a time capsule for the class of 2026, an auction night fundraiser, a senior picnic, field day, the Ultimate Cookie Challenge fundraiser, and scavenger hunts. And lastly, regarding changing class availability, students are frustrated that we've been essentially left in the dark about these choices to cut and move classes. Accurate, thorough, and timely communication is incredibly important in building a trusting relationship with students at Diamond. This is just one of many examples of the poor communication between staff and students as long as I've been coming here. So if we can focus on that in the coming months, that would be very awesome, because Last year, nobody told me it was picture day, and I showed up really greasy. So, all right, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments, questions for the student? All right, thank you again. 1.7 citizen input, anybody? 3.1A FY26 budget. Approval. Any discussion, committee?
The only, Mr. Chairman, the only question I have, you're doing the budget, great job on this, by the way. We had talked a couple of years ago, with our, academic coordinator, that we were gonna try to get away from hard books and start putting it onto. Why are we buying so many books? Why are we working on doing that?
I need to look at the worksheets, but books, if they're books online, they're still books, even though they're not, so it's not software purchases, they can be classified as text under the same code. So we're not really, there's only a few code books that we're gonna be buying. But primarily, we are looking at science, they're gonna be subscriptions, so they won't be textbooks. Yeah, small. So
Yeah, because 2 years ago when Dr. Warner was talking about this, Katie mentioned that she was going to be working at government book lists around here.
yeah, well, English will always have the small paperback novels, I think that we always, which is not a bad thing to have either. But I know science, we're looking at the curriculum, and that will be on, so it's coded as 2410. In regard to the health insurance costs, I did speak with just in general. I think it would be advisable if we could discuss it with the DTA, with EAA, ask me, and try to form a insurance advisory commission or board, so that a member from the committee to see if there's any changes that we can make in the plans, but that we see that input from the members. And if it goes nowhere, it goes nowhere. I mean, but at least you have a healthy discussion.
Would you say you're in a co-op plan?
No, we are basically self-insured with stop loss. So our pool is our pool. I did reach out to a consortium. I think I have to sign the consent and I'll see if they'll accept us to get into the larger pool. And it's not just here either. I know that consortium, their rates are going between 9 and 19. So it seems like, but it's important, I think, to stay with the provider that we have now, rather than, I know we build the GIC, but GIC has never been really a favorable option for southeastern Mass. So, I mean, but these are discussion items that we can have with a different group. If you're members of it.
Well, I was going to say, is that something you can give us some feedback for the April meeting? We'll put on the agenda. And
I'll reach out.
if it is a go, then you can
Okay.
put a committee together and talk about that.
Okay.
I did have a question. As far as, I know Westport's Downton students, and my question is, why is it only $10,000?
It is the formula. Yeah. And that was the primary point of contention actually with that, the graded difficult. Dartmouth sued them on the formula. Because Dartmouth's assessment is exactly almost the same as New Bedford, and they have 4 times the number of kids. So you can see the difference.
But if you add up Swansea, Somerset, Westport,
Yeah.
we're only about a little less than $1 million.
Yeah, a little shy.
Some quarter of
It's based on
population.
the formula is based on socioeconomics. So even though your income may not be substantially higher, your property value is substantially higher. Right. So that's what the assessing you want.
It just looks, you look at,
Oh, yeah.
you know, you're down 10 students, but you're only down
Well, 10,000,
$10,000.
and you're down 3, and you're down 111.
Very well detailed.
Any other questions on the budget? Seeing none, need a motion to
Motion,
approve?
I'll make that motion, to accept the budget as written.
Say a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, B, school choice.
Oh, school choice, the committee, again, the recommendation is that we do not have enough seats here at Diamond to accept, we have an inability to accept students who want to enroll in Diamond from the four communities. This year, you'll hear a little later on in my report that we had quite a few students, quite a few applications that came into Diamond, and we still only accept so many of us until we get full. So the recommendation is that we continue to be not a school choice school, rather, coming up in 25, 26, because of the inability to accept students wanting to come to Diamond. And side commentary, I asked the committee to keep its eyes on what's been happening with the admissions policy, which I'll be talking about a little later on. The admissions policy is, in my opinion, it's in a critical phase. That's at the Department of Education.
Does that have to be voted on by the Senate? Or is that?
This is going to become, no, this is in the hands of the Department of Education. It's in their hands. They set this.
It's not a law,
No, it's not CMR. It's what it is. It's a regulation.
it's a regulation.
They get to
It's
set it.
different.
What upsets me is several things. And I know this might not be the platform, but we're on a roll here. They're striking the word vocational. Okay, in the regulations. Like, we're a vocational school. We train kids with skills that nobody else can do. We get them jobs. And we are going to minimize this at the middle school level. We're going to throw attendance out. We don't care about grades anymore. I mean, that's what they're proposing happens to Diamond. It's disgusting. This afternoon, I sent out a template that's been set up by the MAVA organization that I urge everyone to go in, make it their own. You can just put your name on it, send it to the Board of Education. Maybe if they hear enough angry voices, they'll realize not to mess with something that everybody, especially here at Diamond, has been doing so well for so long. But as we know, vocational education coming into this building with the admissions policy that's being proposed, it is going to be hurtful. I won't say devastating, not yet, but it's going to be hurtful. Attendance will be gone, grades will be gone,
Well, it's not.
and so long as you
Has to be.
haven't done anything egregious in a building, okay? And it's done by a roll of the dice. In this case, picking a ticket or a number out of a barrel. But other than that, I could also move.
The only thing I say, just depending on that is, Diamond has great policies, our administrators, our faculty, they adhere to it. Phone issue is one big thing that kids want, and that's one of the reasons why they go back to another school. Dress code, no hats, which I get going through and every once in a while, working in the school. But if we keep those codes up and we keep the phone issue up and we keep on these kids, no writings on your shirt, no ripped jeans, I think those kids will work themselves out because they are who they are, male or female. But it is, I think if we keep our codes up, I think we'll weed out the ones who get accepted that don't want that.
All right.
You know, let's the God is in the Department of Education. But that part aside, the recommendation is that Diamond not be a choice school for 25, 26.
I make that motion.
Need a motion, need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to C, MSBA. School building report, Mr. DiBiaseo.
Well, we're moving along, we're about 35% done. We're starting to put windows in. It's great. We're starting to put sheetrock in, which means rough work is getting done. Everything from Locust Street this way is how they're working. The top of it, all the wrap you see on the building will slowly start coming down because our fireproofing is getting to the end. And all our floors are all poured in the school, except for the bottom shops, which is really all the ones that are single level, auto mechanics, auto body, et cetera. So those, so that have some pourings done, but they could do that in the summertime with no traffic. So the wrap will be coming off eventually. The, on an average day, we have 180 to 200 workers on the property. Very organized. The complaints from Davis are almost nil. And, well, you haven't complained to us. You haven't emailed. So, but everything's moving right along as planned, and we're staying within budget, which is the most important thing. We are staying within budget.
Now, moving on to the contract. The, change order PCCO number 3. You want to,
Okay, so number 003 is scope of work that has to be done. It was dealing with a pipe, as we all knew about it back 2 years ago, with the pipe that comes up from 24, and it came up through the right of way. One of their beehives, you could call it, was right in our driveway that's going to come out the back of the building behind all the mechanics and out. So we, along with the water department, have come up, have to do some work. So the water, do this work to move that pipe, put in the new beehive, put in the new pit so they can drain it if they ever have a problem. It's going to cost $45,064.43, which has been approved from the building committee to be brought to this committee. I don't believe on these we don't have to.
well, I got a recommendation.
It was the recommendation of Mr. Joint and among others on the colleagues in the Suffolk team that it did go before.
Oh, all right, and they want to put it all together.
Yes, they do.
They're putting it into a PCCO, correct?
Right,
Okay.
CCO, and the amount is.
All right, so that was, right, this is going to be the total amount.
194,000.
Right, that's for everything though, that's not just for the water's only 45. So with the other PCOs that we have, the amount that comes out, this is just change orders. It's not affecting the budget of the project. It's coming out to $194,700.73.
I need a motion to approve. Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Sorry about that.
All right. Project update. You gave us the project update, so we'll move on to MSBA project expenditures. Mr. Kitchen.
Howie has submitted a invoice for this month. The amount was 141,170.24. Castle Foods has submitted a February invoice for 135,709.95. Suffolk, their AIA request is 7,380,826.65.
All right, recommendation to approve the MSBA project expenditures as submitted.
Motion to approve as submitted.
Need a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to,
Just to note, I did talk to Council today, the 116 for the what we approved at the building committee meeting for the lights for the softball and baseball fields. They'll submit that next month. He doesn't have a problem. He had called. I don't know if he called you. No. All right. He wanted to put it on the agenda, and I told him no.
Is that for their amendment or is that for what?
That's for their work. The amendment. It's going to be amendment, correct? Their amendment.
all right, moving on to personnel, Mr. Bentley.
Yes, you see, the committee sees before them the personnel that have been hired. This is no action by yourself. This is for your information. You can see that we completed the hiring of paraprofessionals, tutors for homebound students. And again, it's for your information.
Moving on to EE student travel report, Mr. Bentley.
Yes, Aaron Soers, track and field coach, has submitted an out-of-state student travel request for students to attend the Nike Track and Field Nationals in the Armory in New York from March 13th through March 15th. This was previously on a phone call to the chairman, who did approve this in as much as they are there right now, as they left this morning to take and their competitions tomorrow. Very, very hopeful that they'll do well. Good group of young people that are going with them today. sure riding on a train, which is one was all excited about the train, didn't care about what was gonna happen, riding a train. Right? She was just wonderful talking about it. She was one of our top finishes last year. The recommendation is to reaffirm the out-of-state student travel request submitted by Mr. Soers for students to attend Nike Track and Field National Armory in New York from March 15th through March 15th.
Motion to accept the recommendation.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, because I hate to contact them to have them come home. The Carpentry and Cabinet Making Program instructors have submitted an out-of-state travel request for students to travel to the Rhode Island Convention Center in Providence, Rhode Island, April 8th and 9th to set up Rosemary's Wish Kids Playhouse on April the 11th for the unveiling of that same playhouse. And the recommendation is to approve the out-of-state student travel request submitted by Carpentry Program instructors for students to travel to the Rhode Island Convention Center in Providence, Rhode Island, April 9th, 8th and 9th to set up Rosemary's Wish Kids Playhouse on April 11th for the unveiling of the playhouse.
Make that motion.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
If you get the opportunity, you really want to look at the Rosemary's Wish House, the playhouse. It is remarkable.
And what Maria did mention to us is if you have your badge.
If you have your badge, you will get it for free. Yeah, free is always a good number. David Salsina, metal fabrication and welding instructor, has submitted an out-of-state travel request for students to attend the Project MFG Maritime Competition, May 5th, 2025, Providence Career and Technical Academy in Providence, Rhode Island. The recommendation is to approve the out-of-state travel request submitted by Mr. Salsina for students to attend Project MFG Maritime Competition, May 5, 2025, Providence Career and Technical Academy in Providence, Rhode Island.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And next is the DECA Club Advisors have submitted an after-hours travel request for students to attend the DECA Red Sox Day in Boston on May 20th, 2025, from approximately 3 p.m. to approximately 11 p.m. traffic pending, of course. The recommendation is to approve the after-hours travel request submitted by DECA Club Advisors for students to attend the DECA Red Sox Day in Boston on May 20th, 2025, 3 to 11 p.m.
Point of information, the South Coast Rail may be running by then, so might not be no traffic. Just,
Or it could be worse. You're right, Mr. Flaherty.
This is the same one they did last year, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. They call it DECA Day at the Sox.
Need a motion?
motion.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
And also from the DECA Club Advisors have submitted an out-of-state travel request for students to attend the DECA. This is their national conference in Orlando, Florida, April 25 to May 1st. The recommendation is to approve the after-hours travel request and of course overnight to the DECA Club Advisors in Orlando, Florida, April 25th to May the 1st.
How many students end
He
up?
has 11 of them going up this year.
Need a motion to approve? Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, F, use of facility?
We have one. The Diamond PTO submitted a request to use the cafeteria Saturday, March 23rd, 2025, from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. for a paint and brush scholarship event and to waive all use of facilities fees. And the recommendation is to approve that request by the Diamond PTO to use the cafeteria March 23rd, 2025, 9 to 12:30 for a paint and brush scholarship and to waive all use of facilities.
Need a motion?
Make that motion.
Need a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Moving on to G, vocational program name change.
Yes, the Department of Education has renamed 3 of our programs that we have here. And you see before you the before and after. Building property maintenance will be facilities maintenance management. Electronics will be electronics engineering technology. And graphic communications will be graphic design and visual communication. These 3 names are what is the SIP codes that you see on your paper. And the recommendation is to approve the new names issued by the Department of Education for the identified programs.
Mr. Chairman. Does this change, select board, does this change the format of the class, or is it the same education,
The frameworks,
the frameworks?
as frameworks are gonna change, so,
On all 3?
yes, but they've all been updated. So the state has gone through and has updated all of them as part of this process. These 3, their names were changing. But the Maria has been working with the teachers to work on the scope and sequence of all vocational programs to align what we currently do. And identify areas that we're gonna need to work in. So, facilities, maintenance, management, there is some programming switches that we're concerned about. As a matter of fact, I have an email right now to sit down with the building and property teachers to discuss them. So,
I'm not in favor of the framework, but
I understand.
I'm not the state, but
understand.
this is crazy.
Need a motion to approve the new name changes issued by Desi.
Motion.
Need a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah. HD bypass list, Mr. Beck.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, each year Diamond looks at how many students have been accepted in what we call the first round. And that number has been set at 365 students. We do have more applications that came in, and the building can in fact fit more students than that. The last 2 years, we have taken in 385 students who have applied, which is a comfortable number for us to be. A little tight around the edges at times, but it's a comfortable number in the shops and in the academic classes. And the recommendation is, at this committee's discretion, is to increase the number of students from 365 to 385 for the incoming class of 2029. You see on the paper before you a breakdown of a suggestion of how many per community, but that number is only based upon the ratios that we have. That is at the committee's discretion in order to how to break that up. It's been done in the last several years that they have altered that.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, the last few years, we have gone 5, 5, 5, and 5 because of the formula of what we have and how many students we have on the waiting list, show how many students we're allowed. So we've always gone with the 5, 5, 5, 5, so we can get the students,
All right,
proper share.
I have a motion to increase it to 385 for 5555 all communities. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. The Director of Guidance and Admissions will hear that number tomorrow and will start acting appropriately to bring in more students according to the formula of the state.
Thank you.
Thank you. I, 25-26 school year. Calendar.
I'm actually going to turn this over to Mrs. Weckerser, and who did a really good job in hammering out what needed to be hammering out. She looked at the diamond calendar for the first time and noticed all the nuances of things that we have here. So Mrs. Weckerser, it's all yours.
Yeah, I would like the DPA to know that I appreciate their patience with me as I navigate this template. It's something that I'm very, the A, B, C, D, E, F, they were very patient with me and I appreciate that. One of the things that we looked at is where we fall in that cycle again. There is something you're gonna notice a little bit different. So we fall on that cycle again of a longer Christmas break, which would be great. Everybody loves, the kids would love it, but primarily where in New England, we get snow days and knowing that we're gonna have so much to do at the end of the school year. In order to balance it, you will notice that there is a week in, I believe, October or November, where we kind of split the A and B week, which is abnormal for the way that we do things. But the reason for that is to make sure that each student gets equal amount of time in their vocational program and in their academic classes to still stay true to allowing our guidance department to work through the exploratory selection process in time to place students, which is a very tedious task. So just so in case there are some concerns, this is going to be heavily communicated, not only with our parents and our students and reminders to our teachers, but also with our cooperative education employers right from the get-go, so that they're not anticipating, students to show up and not be there. But by doing that, if you look at the end of school, maybe it'll be a great winter like this one. If you look, it puts us at the last day, possible last day of school for June 12th, which really gives us an advantage if we have no snow, to be able to be in the forefront of transitioning to the new building. Month. And if I plan for it, it won't happen.
Need a motion to accept?
Yeah, I had one question. Graduation, are we you all set with your?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
The faux pas, what happened for this year?
Oh, no, no,
Yeah,
26.
the faux pas that happened has been corrected and everything has been adjusted.
So 26 was last.
Yeah, so we're not gonna make revisions and revisions and revisions, which again, I'd like to thank the DTA for their patience for.
Great, thank you. Yeah. Need a motion to accept the.
I'll make a motion.
Need a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, transportation bid award, Mr. Kitchen.
Put out our FY 26 transportation, 26, 27, 28 school transportation. Bid, there was only one provider that submitted a bid, that was Tremblay's Bus Company, New Bedford, Mass. Their bid came in at, for the 17 routes, came in at 1.213779.60. There are additional expenditures for extracurricular, for our sports and for field trips. And that rate is on the memo that I sent you. There's also a rate for a per van if we need that does fluctuate. And there was a late bus fee that we broke it down to, but the base bid, which is the regular day 17 buses, is $1,213,779.60.
Yeah. Motion to approve. Need a second?
A second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, monthly financial report, Mr. Kitchen.
Really don't have anything to add on the financials. There's nothing outstanding. There is that one area that's right now on extraordinary that we're purchasing equipment with. That's negative 362,412. But other than that, it's fine.
Any questions or comments on the budget? Expenditures, Mr. Kitchen.
We do have a few items. They are all, well, the first two are from the skills capital grants. It's road equipment. That is for the metal fabrication. That is for a shelving system. 80,111, 101.29. The second one actually reads as advanced technologies. That's a ministerial error on my behalf. It's auto collision. So that's from the skills capital grant. That is for the paint use and other items for auto collision at $895,535.14. We have us YMCA for the spring at $15,878. Omni for the senior prom, they're requesting a limit of $40,000. Turf Tank for athletics, which is a automated painter, $15,996. And then Dylan Baxter, which is paid for Perkins for health assisting for 6 of the, to try to replace 6 of the beds up in health assisting at $53,998.80.
Chairman, I have one question.
Yep.
Is this the last year on the YMCA?
It is on the contract, yes. We'll have to put it back out. Well, turf is turf, but the grass is a year, right? Softball, baseball. they're not gonna be playing that down below.
No, not for it. That's why I'm
At
saying
least a
it's,
year or two.
right, you still have to be that.
Yeah.
Need a motion to accept the expenditures as, need a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? M, FY 25 budget adjustment.
If I could, table that till next week, next month.
Sure.
Need a motion to table.
Pass on, pass on.
And surplus books and equipment, Mr. Kitchen.
We have a list of items from textbooks from the science department, we have graphic communication equipment, and carpentry equipment, some small sorted clamps and fittings. Condition is listed in the action that we'll take to dispose of our auction. Is listed. So the textbooks, I listed as disposed, but we normally report, not fortunate, but one of our teachers communicated to me that he saw Swansea's school committee meeting. They were looking to buy psychology books. We surplus psychology books last meeting. I reached out to Chris Costa. Chris said he takes 60 of them. So, I mean, he'll try to do the best he can with placing them, but some of these 93s, 2004s, you know, so they're probably not going to be, you know, snapped. You know, they're not going to be popular.
Yeah.
But the equipment, again, will auction.
All right, your motion to approve the surplus books and equipment. Need a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? House building subcommittee.
We ever try to go over the projects that are ongoing? Yeah,
You have in front of you the projects, the community projects we've been working on. They're going along nicely, the ones that we've been able to get to, which is pretty much most of them. We've done some indoors. We also are working on Rosemary's Wish Kids Playhouses. You really need to get to the convention center to see the great work that our trades have done. It's been a collaboration between all of the programs. We are building it for twin sisters who are seriously ill, and it's really coming out great. We've also had the Key Club working on this with raising funds to purchase some things for the playhouse. I don't want to divulge what it is in case somebody's watching. You know, we don't want to let up the secret of what the house looks like. It's beautiful. Kids have done a great job, and they take a lot of pride in what they're doing. You know, they're very proud of the work that they've done. The teachers have worked wonderfully with them. So, you know, congratulations to all of them. And yes, when you do approach the convention center and you go inside, just go to the will call desk, show them your diamond ID, and you will be able to get in anybody that's involved with the school and the house. Great. On the community projects, I know that Mr. DiBiaseo had a concern that we have not been able to get out to one of the communities to help out with a particular project. We have been utilizing both the property students and teacher at the house building project, as we have a teacher that's out, and they were needed at the beginning of the project. The intent was that once they were done with that help, they would leave, but then we have a faculty member that's out, and there was a need for them to stay, so they have stayed.
Thank you, Brian. Mr. Chairman, 24-25 house building project, Rick?
Yes, we have two houses.
No, this is 24-25,
Oh,
I
it is our
apologize.
house, yes, it's going along fine, we're on track, we're on schedule, and everything looks great.
Yeah, it looks good, I can buy it. They're doing a great job. On the 25-26 house building project, Mr. Chairman, we have two proposals, which is great. So I'm glad to see them coming back in. The first one is a house from Swansea. It is 1,800 square feet with a garage that brings it up to approximately 2,200 square feet. It's a single level house, a couple of arches up front. Nice looking house that's being built, would like to be, it's looking to be built in Swansea. The second one is a house for Westport, a little bigger house. It's 1,960 square feet, and with the garage, it's 2,400 square feet. This house would be a little bit more challenging because of the back has a walkout basement. But the committee, ourselves, anybody have any questions? I think except one's not. So the recommendation from the building committee was, since we've been in Swansea for the last 2 years, building a garage in our house, we'd like to give another community a chance to see Diamond students work. We made a recommendation for Westport House, but it would have to be negotiated with this tourist and our attorney and the customers, the homeowners, because some things would have to be done by them, such as the roof, because we don't allow our students to go up any more than one story, and also because of the pitch, and also the other problem I believe we saw, Mr. Chairman, was they had a chimney that went up, and that would be too high for our students to go up that high as well. So those two things, along with the would have to be worked out with the homeowners before we can sign that contract. If not, And we would, the committee would recommend if Swansea wanted, if they didn't want to go with what we're asking you.
Yeah, and my recommendation would be that your recommendation or your vote reflect that we are to enter into conversation with them based on them being able to meet all of the criteria, because it's a very complicated framing system to that house as well, which could, prolong the project. So,
So that, with that in mind, Mr. Chairman,
All right, got a recommendation to approve the pending negotiations of a contract, Westport House. Need a motion on that?
so move.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to P, Superintendent Director's Report.
Yes, I'll make this brief. First item is that enrollment, and the enrollment does remain strong as of March 6th. 1,461 students is occupied what's in our building right now. The breakdown is on the following page in your packet there, which shows it broken down by community. Next is the exploratory program review. Since January, I've been informing school committee members along with Lynn, our guidance director, guidance director, admissions also, about the exploratory program and placement of students in shop. Now that it's complete, we're going to be taking the next step. Mrs. Weckesser and I have spoken about this along with Lynn, also Ms. Griffin, that we're going to review the exploratory process and placement of students in shops, with the curriculum being used in the shops and the exploratory program, and any recommended changes needed to the process of placement of curriculum. This, what we've been doing in the exploratory has been in existence for years. It does get refreshed by our instructors. We're going to do a real complete, again, with Mrs. Weckesser coming on new and understanding our processes and looking at the enrollments in the shop and looking at the exploratory selections, how it's done. Now we're going to do a little deeper dive into, is there anything that needs to be changed? This is not coming from us. This will be a joint effort. We'll be reaching out to the vocational, obviously the vocational instructors, putting together the equivalent of a subcommittee to take a look at the exploratory. I think the last time we did this was a few years ago. Mrs. Torres did run that, and she does a review with her teachers. What's going on? How is it going on? What's the rubric being used? Are there any changes needed? And this is a good refresher of coming in again. Let's look at the project. What we're doing. Mrs. Weckesser, as she just reminded the principal, to be part of that too. So that's coming. Admissions report. Happy to report that there were 838 applications. Just to stop on that number for a while, 838 for 365 spots. We raised it tonight to 385. So there will be 20 more students' applications that will be processed. And I'm sure they'll be happy to receive that news. And again, I have a breakdown for you of how the application's in by community, how many seats were there, how many have been filled so far. Cooperative education is still being strong. Juniors are still being moved out. The current total that we have is 231, might have changed as of today because there's a little counter right outside Mr. Marcin's office that tells us how many are there. I know there's two more. What's that? I know there's two more. Awesome. Thank you very much. This is City Glass. Thank you. And lastly, on the backside of that, the LPN. The LPN is actually hanging in there. We're marching towards their graduation this year. We're 15 students that are there. The current acceptances down there are at 24. However, I was informed this morning that it's up to 26. As you can see, what's on top. Tonight, they're having an open house, by the way, down there tonight in the LPN building. So that should garner quite a bit of interest, I hope. But I will be requesting a meeting of the LPN subcommittee to begin discussing plans for 26-27. Looking a year ahead because we'll have a full program next year. All right, but our lease also runs out in June. So I'm looking to see what is the thinking of the committee? What are we going to be looking at? So I'll be asking for that. And that is my report.
Any comments, questions from the bench? Moving on to the calendar of events.
Okay, calendar tonight, you attended one if you went down to our culinary department tonight. I seem to enjoy it.
I did very well.
But that was tonight. The month of March is it's long. It's just so long. There's just no way to break it up. However, there is the St. Patrick's Day celebration, which I will probably take full advantage of. But other than that, the month of March has quite a few activities going on. You can see the calendar there. The next one, though, before this committee is the month of April, moving in there, and there will be a change coming up, which the chair will take up in just a few moments. But the month of April has vacation in it. It has quite a few activities as we start heading towards the end of this school year. I don't know if anyone has any particular questions.
No? All right, we have no correspondence. Our next scheduled school committee meeting is Wednesday, April 16th, 2025. Executive session.
We do have the need, pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21, Paragraph 2, conduct sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel and individual employment agreements for the LPN director. Pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A, Paragraph 3, discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining and litigation of the public body, which here so declares. We have absolute DAA and DTA negotiations, and there will likely be no votes taken when we resume to the session.
Need a motion to go into executive session? Need a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call?
Mr. Jennings?
Yes.
Mr. Deegan?
Yes.
Mr. DiBiaseu? Attorney Flanagan?
Yes.
Mr. Manuel's?
Yes.
Ms. Menard?
All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call?
Mr. Jennings?
Yes.
Mr. Deegan?
Yes.
Mr. DiBiaseu?
Yes.
Attorney Flanagan?
Here.
Mr. Manuel's?
Yes.
Ms. Menard?
All right. Need a motion to adjourn?
So.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.